You want to know what's one of my least favorite things to do? One of my least favorite things to do is to watch cable news. Why? Because there's almost never anything interesting that they have to say. It's just which flavor of fear mongering do you want? Do you want it to sound a little like Fox or a little like CNN, MSNBC, etc., etc.? So, how about we see what's going on the Fox flavor today? What are they talking about?
As the feds get closer, things get grosser. The probe into Hunter's questionable income practices expands, targeting his Ukrainian dealings, China, and potential money laundering. Fox News obtained emails in which Hunter asked that keys be made for his new office mates for a shared space with a Chinese energy firm's emissary. The mates, his dad Joe, his fun Uncle Jim, and Dr. Jill Biden. It's always good to have a medical professional on staff.
Let me stop right here really quickly. Um, so on Instagram recently, I ran a story where where a lot of people had heard about the article that came out of the Wall Street Journal. It was an opinion piece where it was a person saying that Dr. Jill Biden shouldn't go by the name doctor because she's not a medical doctor. And this became a really just annoying story to even have to cover, honestly, because on one hand, I'm thinking to myself, why is this even a story? And on the other hand, you have to deal with the obvious like outrage, which is like, why is this person saying nasty things about the first lady elect? And then I have to sit there and just realize that this person is basically just saying this stuff because they're trying to get people to click on the story. It was a true clickbait story. And a lot of people were upset with the person who was writing it, but I just personally was more upset with the Wall Street Journal for even putting something like that on on their site. They're supposed to be a reputable site, and yet that's the kind of stuff that they want to throw out there. It's just a story about a guy who says that people with PhD shouldn't call themselves doctors. How is that news? Why is that news? Are you so desperate for news that that is the news you're going to put out there? And then on top of that, now the conservative media is seeming to actually continuing to run with this as like a fun joke, saying that, well, yeah, you shouldn't call yourself a doctor if you're not a medical doctor. It's a dumb story. It's dumb, and we shouldn't feed into dumb stuff. I'm just going to put that out there. But addressing this really quickly here, what are we talking about? Hunter Biden is allegedly trading his, like family name for political influence and financial gain in several different companies throughout the world. This would have been a big story 4 years ago for me personally. But after 4 years of Donald Trump watching him literally do the thing that every other president before him has not done, which was using the office to make millions and potentially billions of dollars for his companies, for his son, for his daughter, it really does kind of ring hollow when, Fox and other companies have completely turned a blind eye to that. And now they want to talk about, oh, Hunter Biden, look at him doing all these corrupt things. I'm not going to tell you that it's not corrupt, but it's incredibly hypocritical, and I just don't understand how we can seriously say that one thing is wrong and another thing is not wrong. What else do they have to say?
So this stinks like a day-old diaper in a Red Lobster dumpster. And it makes you wonder how much longer the pathetic media will pretend that there's nothing to see here. Let's note the contrast between an investigation into someone they hate versus someone they love. First, the dossier.
The dossier has been corroborated by the intelligence community.
The dossier, in fact, is far from bogus.
So far, nothing in the dossier has been disproved.
Increasingly, it's the accurate dossier.
What a bunch of dopes. Now, Hunter.
We do know that this is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
Talking about the Biden's personal corruption, a little bit about Hunter Biden. Most of those charges unverified.
Peddling baseless conspiracy theories about Joe Biden and his son.
As you know perfectly well, I'm a journalist and a reporter, and I follow the facts. And there has never been any issues in terms of corruption.
If you got to point out that you're a journalist, you're not. It's worth noting, since the Hunter evidence is actually real, no one paid for a phony dossier and then had the media pass it around like a crack pipe so it got re-verified by other jackasses. Do you remember that trick? You know, if one hack shares it with another, suddenly two sources are getting high together. They did this for 4 years and still got nothing but dumber. Meanwhile, Hunter wasn't going rogue, but working for Joe to secure millions for him after 50 years of sniffing hair. Except Hunter didn't factor in Joe not retiring. Whoops. Now Hunter's left holding the bag, wondering if jail gets seamless. No wonder Obama asked Joe, "Are you sure you want to do this?" But sadly, China now has Joe over a barrel filled with a lot of dirt. And what a relief for Xi after 4 years of dealing with Trump, who had China's number and fought on our behalf instead of chasing popularity. No wonder China can't wait for the inauguration. Neither can Joe. I mean, a lot can happen in 6 weeks. We went to Kamala for comment.
So can we just stop for a second? First of all, it's really hard to take Fox News seriously when they barely take themselves seriously. I don't understand how you can call yourself a journalism company when this is the way you report on the news. This is about the equivalent to The Daily Show in my mind. And they are on Comedy Central, which they openly admit that they're not serious news, and they have for a long time. This isn't really political like discourse. This is more or less just satire. And Fox News has, in the past, had to label themselves as an entertainment company and not an actual as a news organization for reasons along these lines. But with that being said, what is true? What is not? Is Hunter Biden doing corrupt things? Most likely. A lot of the evidence that we've seen does point in that direction. But like I said earlier, it's really hard to take it seriously after we've seen everything that Trump and his family has done the last 4 years. So I'm kind of in a place where I'm a little numb to family corruption at this point in time. But maybe that's just me. Maybe we should be more upset about it. You tell me. But here's where I'm at right now. I don't understand how Fox News can continuously try to paint themselves as not the media. You heard Gutfield a few times there kind of refer to the media as like a foreign entity, as if they're not a part of it. Fox News is currently and has been for a very long time the largest media company in the country. So for them to act like they're not a part of the quote unquote mainstream media always baffles me. Like legitimately baffles me. Now, I could continue this video and we could continue to watch what more they have to say about Hunter Biden. But honestly, right now, with all the things going on in the country right now, this does not make any sense to cover in a time of COVID, in a time of, mass evictions of people not sure how they're going to make ends meet, I just don't understand how talking about Hunter Biden is really helping anything. I'm not saying there's not a story here. I'm not saying it shouldn't be covered. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like the right time to be going after something like this, given the fact that you were so okay with Trump making so much money through his political influence the last 4 years.